friends, welcome to another Renee's Corner video. I'm Tanisha Renee, and today we are going to be talking about my finals. Basically this year my finals are pretty not final-esque. Like, they're not really like final exams, they're more like papers. And so yeah, we're just gonna talk about like how I prepare to do finals, how I map out what needs to get done, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. So basically I am enrolled in 3 classes. I'm enrolled in clinical child psychology interventions, I'm enrolled in clinical health psychology, and then diversity. I wonder, is there a longer name for diversity? I don't really know, but diversity. And so basically for my clinical child course, I talked about this in the last video a little bit, but for the final exam for that class, we had to basically watch a like informational webinar on how to deliver IPT or interpersonal therapy for teens to teens. So basically just how it looks to do that protocol with teens and like role playing and all that good stuff. And so basically that was our whole final, and so it was about 8 or 9 hours long of material. And so even prior to COVID-19, this was our final, and so she just kept it because like it was supposed to be done outside of class anyways. So basically I learned how to give interpersonal therapy to teens that have depression, and it was really eye-opening for me. Like, I had never thought about using interpersonal therapy for teens with depression. Like, it just never clicked how social teens are, and how, you know, doing therapy that focuses on their social relationships could really help fix their depression. And so that was basically it. I submitted that final like 2 weeks ago at this, or maybe a week ago at this point. Basically it was pretty easy. What we had to do was just outline the sessions as we went along with the webinar, and like just outline what would be like a cheat sheet for me, like if I'm going to be doing therapy or doing interpersonal therapy with a teen, what would I want to know about the sessions. And so that's basically that final. So then for clinical health, the finals for this are kind of cool. They are doing, well, like my professor basically gave us like case conceptualizations and medical notes and like medical history of people, and basically we have to answer questions about the person's health from like a clinical health psychology perspective. And so like one of my questions were like, it was like a teen case, and like what are some of the biopsychosocial factors that you need to consider about why this teen isn't adhering to her medication and stuff like that. So like different case examples, or like there's one about, is a client a good candidate for bariatric surgery, and like why or why not are they a good candidate. And like one was like an organ transfer, like what would be the risk assessment that you would give to this client, and where would you place them on the spectrum from like low, medium, high. It's really interesting. I really like this final because like it really makes me think about just like what it kind of takes, like all the information that I got over the semester and like narrows it down to be like what's most important. Because when you're in a clinical health setting as a psychologist, you really don't have time to be like lollygagging and trying to get to know people slowly. You have to be really focused and narrow-minded, and that's basically how the final goes. And then for diversity, our final is basically prelims questions. And so how my program does like to move you from a PhD student to candidacy is, well, I don't know if this is what moves you to a candidacy. I think after you propose your dissertation, that moves you to candidacy. But anyways, so basically we have like our comps exam, and so how my program does it is they basically give us questions and they stick us in a room and we have to answer the questions. So basically, I don't think other schools do it that way, and I don't honestly know why my school does it that way, because most people's comps exams are like essays and stuff, but here we are, this is how they do it. And so for my diversity final, we have to answer like 3 of 5 questions that are like prelim style questions. And so yeah, that's basically it. And so now I'm gonna talk a little bit about how I plan for finals and kind of what I do to like get it all done, not freak out, because all these finals have tons and tons of pieces. Look at my dog, he's been like passed out. We've been going on walks in the mornings, and we have upped our walks to 2 miles, and now he just like passes out. Like, yeah, he just can't contain himself. Okay, so basically what I do is probably around like the outside of my nose is so itchy. So probably around, I would say about 2 weeks before finals, I make like a calendar of like what needs to be done when. And so basically this is my calendar. Can you see it? It's handwritten, there's nothing fancy. And so basically what I start with is events and things when things are due. So my thesis is also on here because that was a big chunk of finals for me too, because I really need to get that done. So basically, like, my health final is due on the 8th of May. And so yeah, not today, the 8th of May. So basically what I do is I put the health final there, and I'll like map out when each final is due and at what time. And so then I'll go look at the final and I decide, okay, how can I divvy this up over as many days as possible? So for the health final, we have to accumulate so many points, so like 65 points. And so what I did was I looked through the final and I was like, okay, these are all the questions I'm gonna answer to get my 65 points. And then I assigned the questions to days. And so I did like 2 questions a day basically. And then, yeah, and so I worked backwards from the day it's due. So like, I don't know if you can really see. So on the 8th is when the final is due. And so I worked backwards with how many questions I needed to do the week prior to make sure that I could submit it on the 7th, which is today. So does that make sense? And then I do the same thing with my diversity final. So it's due on the 11th. And so I backed it up. Yeah, it's due on the 11th. And so then I was like, okay, so I'll do a question Sunday, do 1 question Saturday, and 1 question Friday. And so as you can see on here, I'm a little ahead of schedule because today's May the 5th. May the 7th, I don't know why I said May the 5th, but I'm ahead of schedule. So my health final is already completed. I'm just gonna review it one more time and submit it. And then I'm going to move on to the next day and do the diversity stuff. And so I'm like a day ahead of the schedule. And so also for my thesis, I did the same thing. So as I've gotten down to like the wire of my thesis, I've been having a really hard time moving it forward. And so I also put on here like a fake due date of when my thesis is due. And then I wrote out everything that still needed to be done. So starting here, I still needed to do a conceptual model. I needed to do some other stuff here, all these writings, and then like I just worked backwards. So these are like the night before. And so the thesis was due on the 4th, and then I just worked backwards of like what I wanted to get done that way. And so I've done this method for like every single final. So even when finals are like I don't know how to explain it. So even when finals are like not essay finals, I do this method too. So like when I need to study, like last year when I had assessment, you know, he gave us the questions, but I wanted to have enough time to study each question thoroughly. And so I use this same method of like mapping out little chunks of the final up until the day of the final, because it's really easy to wait until the night before and be like, oh crap, I have all this crap to do. And I just don't like that feeling and stress around finals. I just don't. So even when your test is like you don't have the questions ahead of time, you can start this even earlier, and then like every day up until the final you can map out what it is you're gonna study. So like I'm trying to think of a class I had to study for. It's been a long time. So gosh, I haven't had a final like that in a very long time. Grad school, I mean, at least in my grad school, they don't really do finals like that. So, okay, so like in undergrad, I had a like a African-American child class, and we had a final that we were gonna take in class. And so what I did was I went over, I looked through my notes, and I looked at what stuff did I not feel as comfortable with. And so I started with those things so that I could have more time to review and study them up until the final. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know, this video feels hella rambly, but I hope that, you know, you guys seeing how I map out my finals can help you map out your finals and help you feel less stressed about finals. And yeah, that's basically it. That's how I do my finals. I'm just now at the end. I only have the diversity final left, and then thesis until June. Hopefully I'm going to defend my master's thesis in the first week of June. So hopefully we can get it all done in that time. And yeah, we're just chugging along. So I hope this video helps you. If you have any questions about how I map out finals or how I study, I can give you the best answers that I can about studying. I am like the worst at studying, so I can give you all the tips that I've had and I've used. So you can ask questions down in the comments. Basically, I think you should leave, like, if you've watched this far, I think you should leave like school emojis, like pens, pencils, notebooks, all that good stuff down in the comments below if you've watched this far. And yeah, be sure to follow me over on my social medias. I'll put them right here. And that is about it. So I will see you guys next week. Peace out, and I love you all so much. Bye.